Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's just so cool. Hey everyone, Summer Bock here. If you've been around for a while, you probably heard my story, maybe at gutrebuilding.com. When you sign up for my newsletter there, I share my story in the first email that you get about my whole experience with cleansing and healing and figuring out what was wrong with me. And part of my journey was histamine issues. And now this is something that I've shaken it for years at a time, but there'll be periods in my life where the histamine levels come back up. And for me, that means that my ears ring, I get hives, I get rashes, my legs get itchy, my eyes water, I might start to get more reactive to pollen or chemicals, scents, perfumes, even like the smell of sheets, those things start to get really pronounced. And there's just this whole slew of symptoms that drive me absolutely nuts. And then my stomach gurgles, I feel hungry a lot, and I can even get acid reflux when it gets really bad. And it is just the most uncomfortable thing. I've been covered in hives, rashes, scabs on my legs from scratching all night long. I've woken up in the morning with just like my whole chest broken out in hives, and sometimes it takes weeks to go away all the way. And this has been something that I've struggled with since I was a small child. I remember having to go to the emergency room multiple times to get epinephrine shots because I had hives all over my neck. Nobody ever understood what it was. Like the medical, whole conglomerate. I would go in there and they're like, oh my gosh, hives, epinephrine. And then they'd be like, oh no, we gave you too much epinephrine, because I'd be like sitting there shaking, just like freaking out. Okay, we're gonna watch you for observation. I'm like, we're just gonna observe me sitting here freaking out, like heart racing. Part of this, I developed a massive amount of fear and anxiety around food. And this is because food has often been one of the things that I react to. It sets things off. It can be one of the things that starts my stomach gurgling, or the acid reflux, or even just eating too many foods that have high histamines can start to build my histamine levels up. And then all these symptoms just start, building and building and building. And it's awful. It's no fun. And man, I work with so many clients who deal with this, and I know the exact pain that they're in. It can even result in like joint pain and migraines and all sorts of crazy weird symptoms that just feel really hard to tackle, because sometimes you eat that food and it doesn't bother you, and then other times you eat it and there you are reacting. So what happens is you start to develop this anxiety around food because you don't know, like, if I eat it right now, how am I going to feel in 20 minutes? How am I going to feel in 2 hours? And so there's becomes this weird relationship. And when you struggle with this, like I've struggled with it, you can just develop so many, honestly, it's kind of like phobias and traumas, these like mini traumas around food, which means that when you sit down to do the thing that your body needs to do to stay alive, your levels of stress are going up. That's the time when your levels of stress are supposed to be going down. So you're supposed to actually be like in a state of rest and digest and breathing deep and chilling out when you eat food, and it's supposed to calm you down and you laugh, you feel great. Instead, you're having the opposite reaction. So then, the histamine levels go up, and then your body naturally produces adrenaline to help bring those histamine levels down, to mitigate all of the fluids that are being produced. It helps bring down the inflammation. That's kind of our body's counter effect to handle those histamine bursts. So then you're just in fight or flight all the time. Just like running around, like panicking, heart racing, freaking out. This is such a bad state to be in because it sets you up to get all kinds of chronic illnesses. Stress is just the worst possible thing for your gut. It's the worst possible thing for your overall health, and it can deteriorate, your entire health, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, all of it. And so I wanted to share with you this really cool thing that I've been doing. In the work that I do with everybody, like my work as a coach, my brain, I've trained myself to look at where is the needle mover. What is the thing that is going to give us the biggest impact and the biggest shift so that we can actually have a profound shift, so we can see something happen, so we have motivation to keep making more changes. So I'm trained to constantly say, okay, what's the needle mover here? So like in my gut rebuilding program, the first 2 steps that we do, those are the biggest needle movers. Later on, I mean, those really great steps that happen there, but some of those take a few weeks. I give the steps in the beginning that are gonna get the fastest results. I mean, I do that on purpose. Like I want people to feel that it's working so that now they can, when they get to a step that might take 2 or 3 weeks, they trust that I know what I'm doing. They trust that this process will work because they've already seen results. It's just a simple way of changing your relationship with food. When I'm sitting down about to eat, I just get into this state. I take a breath. I let my body relax. I just say, I humbly receive this food. And then I take a moment and I look at the food and I think about all of the people whose hands touched that food to get it in front of me. I think about all of the lives that maybe were taken to get that food in front of me. I appreciate them. I can almost get really emotional and just like feel a strong connection to all of the food sitting on my plate, that it was alive at one point and now I'm eating it and it's going to give me life. And so I take that moment of deep appreciation and emotion and gratitude, and I just bathe in that for a minute. I soak in that and I just say, I humbly receive. And this starts to break down the anxiety, and this gets your body into this state of rest and digest, and it starts to break apart these feelings of anxiety. And when I, shift from fear into gratitude in that moment, just with my mind and with my emotional state, and now appreciate that food instead of fearing that food, it will change the way that my body even reacts. So if I go into a meal and I'm freaking out and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this does this? And I'm in my head and I'm having all the fear and I roll down every single rabbit hole of fear and play out all these worst case scenarios, I'm actually creating more stress in my body. I'm mentally and emotionally creating more stress. And now I'm creating a trigger where food is the thing that is triggering that stress. So this is how you start to untangle it. This is just one little step in all the many steps that you do to help with histamine issues. But I do feel that this one makes some major moves, and it helps rewire the neurology. It helps rewire just the way I function, and it's putting me more in a state of gratitude and appreciation and less focused on my health problems. I'm practicing it. I'm working so diligently to be grateful for things instead of being critical, because that can be really easy to do for me. I'm about to eat a mango. It's a good mango because I already ate all of the stuff around the seed. Do you remember when you were little, did you ever make, cut mangoes and it was a mess and you just couldn't figure out how to do it, and then all of a sudden somebody taught you how to do this? That was like a revelation. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's just so cool. Gratitude. I was grateful that I know how to cut a mango now and it's so easy. I just was realizing I was eating my lunch kind of fast. I had a salad with some turkey and beans, carrots. It was delicious. I kind of ate it fast. I didn't mean to. This whole weekend I've been eating with other people and I've been laughing and enjoying and having a good time. Here I am back at home, at work, and I'm eating by myself. And I eat so much faster when I'm eating by myself. And it's maybe I'm just not gonna eat until somebody else is here. I definitely feel better when I eat with other people, and I eat slower and I'm laughing and it's fun. I decided maybe I should slow the F down and eat this meal a little bit more with gratitude. I'm just slowing down with you right here, right now. The way that I was raised, even though we often prayed before meals, and I never really understood in this country what kind of work, what kind of effort is put into getting that food in front of me. I know who cooked it, but I don't understand who farmed this or who fed that animal and then had to, slaughter that animal and then clean it and then make it ready for me. I don't get that much exposure. Growing up, I didn't see farms and I didn't get a chance to really understand the amount of effort that it takes to get that food in front of me. And I'm just smell it. It smells amazing. Somebody grew this. Somebody picked this off. Here, let's do it again. Somebody picked this off of a tree, and then they put it in a box or a bag and then shipped it somewhere across the country. I guess this was probably from like, Mexico. I have so much gratitude for the people that picked this and grew it and made sure that the plants lived so that they could make this, so I could eat this right now. So gratitude can like take a while. We can take our time to get into it. That's good. It's like sweet and sour. Nature's sweet tarts. I just wanted to have some gratitude with you right now. Like, let's be grateful. Sit down with me. Grab some food that you're about to eat. Practice being grateful. Practice thinking about where this food came from. This is the most important thing, I really believe. You have to remember where the food came from because we're not aware. I don't know who picked this. I don't know who grew this. I don't know who drove it here. I don't even know who like drove it to the Whole Foods where I went and bought it. I know who put it on the Whole Foods display because I talk to all the produce guys all the time. I don't know where this came from in a way, right? Like I don't know who. I don't have a connection to how this got to me. And I think that lack of connection is creating a gap that allows us to take our food for granted, and it allows us to think that food just appears out of nowhere. I think it creates less overall appreciation, and I think that's what has allowed us to get to the point where industrial food production is something that we actually buy. It's like we buy into that and we pay for it and we buy food and we support that whole system because there's a gap in where the food came from, like us being connected to the actual source of who picked, who grew, who prepared this food. I'm gonna thank that person that grew it. I'm gonna thank the skies for watering this mango. And I don't know, is there irrigation? Is it a farm? I don't even understand. I don't even know how this all works, you know? So it's a little bit hard. Even my appreciation, it's a little bit amorphous. It's like abstract. There's still a gap. And I really think that the best meals I've ever had have all been meals that were grown by someone I knew and prepared by someone I knew. Those have been all the best meals I've ever had. Well, I had one meal in Japan. Maybe I like to pretend that somewhere someone is getting it right. It can give me some hope that we can maybe get it right. And because I was so disconnected to that, I felt really entitled. And there's a lot of entitlement with people who have food allergies and people who are struggling with their health. And, very much I understand that level of entitlement, like you're freaking the fuck out. And you have to make sure that everything you put in your body is going to work. And so there's this feeling of like, oh my gosh, like you're self-obsessed and you're putting yourself first and all that's important. But the way that it comes across to like, I think other people maybe too, but like also just like the vibes that you're putting out into the universe is like entitlement. I'm entitled to something. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to this food, and this is bad and this isn't working for me. And you just get into this place, like very negative, very toxic place, quite honestly. I think it's just very important for the entire community of people who are struggling with food allergies, struggling with histamine issues, struggling with like what is in front of us and judging it and all of these things that we do. And we just need to take a moment, take a deep breath and feel extreme gratitude for all of the lives, all of the life, all of the effort, all of the bacteria that helped these plants grow and these animals grow, all of the other organisms in that ecosystem that helped bolster this life, all the minerals that fed these animals, all the water that kept these alive. I mean, there's so many things to appreciate in that moment. And this is how you break and shift that like entitled, like elitist, like I have to eat better than you. And you may not really be feeling that way, but it comes across that way. And that's the message that you're sending to the universe. It's just this like, I'm better than this person over here who's going to eat this food and not really worry about it or care. And I'm not trying to say this to make people feel bad. I really just want people to wake up for a second and have some real appreciation for the amount of stuff that went into getting that food in front of you. We can raise the standard so much more effectively by being grateful and feeling that. And like that's going to spread. That's going to ripple out. People are going to feel that. The people that are eating with you are going to feel the level of deep gratitude in that moment. They may even be moved by your just silent experience of taking a moment to be humbly receptive to the food in front of you. At the beginning of every single meal, I can sit there and look at that food, and no matter what, no matter where it came from, I can be appreciative for all of the animals, all of the plants, all of the humans, all of the bacteria, all of the minerals, all of the rain, all of the hard work and effort and resource that went into that food getting in front of me. I can always find appreciation for that. And I hope you can too. I think a lot of people have never had great food. Gratitude. Thanks for listening. I publish new videos every Wednesday. I also put these videos up on my blog, and those are just written out with bullet points, and sometimes I have handouts and downloads, so check out the blog at gutrebuilding.com as well. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please share in the comments. Let me know, what do you think? I'm going to try to turn off with my tongue because my hands are sticky.